Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alexander Graham Bell once told us, when one door closes, another opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened before us. Let's pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you tonight for this opportunity to gather and conduct the business of our community. Watch over us and direct us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mary. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Graham?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Candia?
Here.
Councilmember Day?
Here.
Mayor Martino?
Here. Sorry. Okay. Declaration of conflict of interest? I have none.
None.
None tonight. Okay, now we move on to 6, and this is the best part of our meeting, believe me. We had Proclamation Bike to Work Day last week, but we're not going to do that right now. But just remember that Bicycle Week is this coming week, I believe it is, and so everyone should get on their bicycle when they have the opportunity. If you can, ride it to work. Ride it to work. If not, just use it on weekends and enjoy it. The best part of our ceremonial manners is we're going to be pinning the badge on Police Officer Marcus Freeman. And Marcus, please go up to the podium, and the chief will swear you in.
First, I'm going to introduce him. Evening, Mayor, council members. It's my pleasure to introduce Marcus Freeman to the Newman Police Department family. Marcus grew up in Modesto, California, where he attended Davis High. He took a public safety course at Davis, and then he was also a Modesto PD police explorer, but we won't hold that against him at all. We'll beat all of that out of him later. After leaving the explorer program, aging out, he became a volunteer at Modesto PD before attending San Joaquin Delta College Police Academy. He put himself through the academy, which takes a ton of dedication. I know that firsthand. It's a hard thing to do. And he graduated in November of 2016 from the San Joaquin Delta Police Academy. Tonight, Marcus is joined by a bunch of people, as you can tell. I'm not going to read everybody out of doubt, so here's a list that he gave me, so if you're not on the list, it's his fault, not mine. Take the fifth. The most important, he said, was Cassie Garcia, his fiancée. Second, this was a touch-up because, not to leave mom and dad out, Joyce Freeman, his mom, Dan Freeman, his dad, Megan Freeman, his sister, Sid Denton, his grandfather, Gene and Kurt Moeller, his aunt and uncle, cousin Sidney and Logan Moeller, future in-laws, father-in-law Jerry Garcia, mother-in-law Crystal Garcia, and their children, Ziggy, RJ, and Riley, Mark and Yolanda Garcia, which is known as Grandma. It took him a minute to find out her name because he only knows her as Grandma, but we won't hold that against him either. So we're going to do the oath, and then you're joined up front by, I believe it's your father, to do your badge pinning. So we'll meet up there after your oath, and do not mess this up. All right? Raise your right hand. I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I, Marcus Freeman, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties on which I'm upon to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Congratulations.
If you draw blood, we don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcus told me something earlier. He said he wasn't on duty. I said, you're always on duty. Anyway, we are going to take a break now, and there's refreshments in the back to honor Marcus and being pinned tonight. So if everyone would join us in the back for a short break, please. Best equipped officers in this city. Anyway, we're going to move on to item 7, which is items from the public, non-agenda items. This is normally when people would like to speak to the council. We give them 3 minutes and they could talk to us about any subject they wanted to. But I'd like to let you know that if you're going to talk to the basketball hoops, I'd wait till we get down to regular business A, and then we'll do it at that time. So if anybody wants to speak to the council on a non-agenda item at this time, they may go to the podium and make their presentation. Please try to hold it to 3 minutes.
I will definitely try to hold it to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
That was pretty neat. I had never seen an officer get pinned before, so that was neat.
Yeah, it is
That was
neat.
special. You can tell he's got a lot of friends and family that were proud of him. I'm here from the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. Michael asked me to come speak to the council tonight. Just about local mosquito issues this year in Newman and in Stanislaus County. As you know, we've seen a lot of flooding. According to TID, they're expecting the river levels to stay about the same through July. So we have put in, as a special district, we have put in for monies through Cal OES and to try to get some of the FEMA flood money to help deal with the public health aspects of the mosquito breeding that's going to take place. That's much higher than normal, just due to the fact that there's so many acres of land that's flooded along the Merced River, Stanislaus River, San Joaquin River. So we are in the process of doing that. In the meantime, my board has authorized use of some emergency funds that we keep aside. And we are closely monitoring the situation. We're monitoring mosquito levels, not only in Newman, but all along the river corridors. And if we start to see virus activity, elevated West Nile virus activity, then we do have funds that are available that we can react quickly. We just started spraying activities this week. If you can remember, the last couple of weeks we've had high winds,
Right.
and it's just the weather hasn't been cooperative with us. But the good news is that that's also disruptive for mosquitoes. So we were out this week. We'll begin doing spraying twice a week in the areas that we're getting the most mosquitoes in our traps. I can tell you this, the trapping that we've done in Newman has been pretty reasonable compared to other areas within the county. If any of your constituents or the residents are experiencing a higher than normal mosquito, definitely let us know, because that's half the battle sometimes, is just knowing where people are exhibiting. We do put out traps, but we can't cover everywhere. Definitely give us a call, let us know, and we'd be happy to respond to that. But we also are letting people know, and this is one of the flyers, and I gave Michael some of these flyers that he can share with you and the rest of the residents of Newman. We want people to know that this year it's a federal emergency in Stanislaus County. And just like with a hurricane or an earthquake or anything else, vector control kind of ties in with that. There's going to be standing water. There's going to be large areas of standing water. Our budget isn't equipped to deal with something like that alone, because this is something that happens maybe once every 20 years. We're budgeted to do a normal year. So that's why we're turning to FEMA to help reimburse some of the costs that we're incurring. We're already up and running, whereas normally we'd just be getting our season started. On the backside, we want people to know that definitely give us a call and let us know if you're experiencing mosquito problems. But at the same time, there are so many thousands of acres of flooded land out there that we could spend our entire budget and still not kill all the mosquitoes that are going to come out of there. So the use of repellent is extremely important, especially if you're going to be out in dusk and dawn like right now. That is when the West Nile mosquito is the most active, and so these went out to every resident that lives along or next to a major flooded area within the county. We wanted to make sure to target them first, and then we do have flyers available that we've been giving out to City Hall and to different agencies and different places within the community that are popular eateries or that kind of thing. So if any of you have any ideas, I've left some brochures and flyers with Michael. Please take some. Please contact us if you need more, because we'd really like to get the word out and protect public health as much as we can. And hopefully I didn't go over too much in my 3 minutes.
No, David, I apologize. David
No,
Hepp.
it's okay.
That wasn't intended for you. Anyway, no, we know how important what you're doing for our community, because, we've had mosquitoes constantly every year. And
Yes.
so what you do for the community is outstanding. Now, will they be doing any aerial spray, or is that something later on they?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we've gotten the emergency money setting aside. We're monitoring it very closely. The aerial thing is something that we do as a kind of a last resort when we got to cover a large swath of land, or if it's an area that we just can't get to physically and you need an airplane to reach some of these locations. We're watching the level of virus activity, and if we do see elevated levels of virus activity, then we would do an aerial spray. And like I mentioned to you guys the last time I was here, the amount of spray that comes out of the plane, a lot of people think it's kind of like a crop dusting type application. It's not. We'd use ultra low volumes. If you can think of the size of a mosquito, the size of a droplet that we need to kill that little thing is microscopic. You can't see it'd be like 2 cans of Raid on an airplane wing spraying. That's about as much chemicals we're putting out 300 feet up in the air. So it's very low dose, very small amounts. We don't want the chemical to reach the ground. Mosquitoes aren't on the ground. We want those microscopic droplets to stay up in the atmosphere where they're flying. So it's very safe. It's been used for years. There's only 2 products we're allowed to use in California as it is anyway. So it's nothing different than you buy at Home Depot, or you got a guy coming around spray for ants. You're going to get exposed to 10 times as the pesticide is what we're doing. So that is something we're tracking, and again, you can monitor us on the district website. We do post positive mosquito pool traps. We do post where dead birds are being collected, and you can correspond that with our activities. You can see where we're spraying, and you can see the direct correlation between, there is virus they're picking up in these areas, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. There hasn't been much up there lately just because it's been weather related. We just haven't been able to find a good stretch of weather, but now that the winds died down, we are getting up to speed on our activities. So we just wanted to come out and let you guys know.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
No, I really appreciate you coming out and giving us an update.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Michael, for having me out.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
With the spraying, would that have any impact on the bee colonies?
Primarily, we don't spray when bees are out. Now, the reason why there was some interaction between bees and mosquito control back east is because I'm sure most of you have heard there's been invasive mosquito species that have came into California. They are not active at dusk and dawn. They're active in the middle of the day when we are. They have evolved to live closely with humans. They feed on humans. And so to spray for them, you have to spray when bees and other people are out. That's the only time they're going to be be out to get them. The mosquitoes we're spraying for is dusk and dawn. We're out either spraying before the sun comes up or after it's went down. And so bees are in their hive at that point. And we're spraying such a small amount of chemical that bees can live through our sprayings. We've actually taken feral bees, put them in the same screen containers that when we test the chemical to measure its effectiveness, mosquitoes will die, bees will live. Because they're big enough that the microscopic droplets aren't big enough to... Now, of course, if we were to douse a hive, then of course there'd be death. But in the methods that we're using with these microscopic droplets, there's less than an ounce per acre. So you're talking a couple teaspoons of material spread out over an entire acre. It's typically not enough to kill bees. Our products have no residual. So typically within 15 minutes it's undetectable. Definitely within an hour it's gone. There's even been instances where a district may have accidentally flown over an organic hobbyist, and they did testings and they couldn't find a detectable amount to even say whether it happened or not. So there are always mistakes and things like that, but when it's used according to the label and the directions, we should have no interaction with bees. Now, when the invasive species do get here, they're about 50 some miles away in Madera County, then we're going to have to look at what we do in terms of the mosquito control. And usually that means not using trucks or airplanes, but usually it means going door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood. We find them in a certain community, we check every single house, every single backyard. We treat by hand. It's very labor intensive, but that's the only way to get close enough to these mosquitoes to actually control them. You know, they're living in the house with you, they're living in the backyard, they don't go far. So that'll be a different story, but luckily we don't have those yet. We do have traps out that are aimed to collect those species, so hopefully we can get them before they get established.
Well, I just want to thank you for it, because we've been anticipating, hearing from you, and this has come up at a few of our council meetings in terms of when are we going to see the spraying. Yeah. So
you probably have seen some reports on the news. There's been a couple of different reports on the news about the flooding in FEMA and mosquito control. It's a pretty hot topic for us right now, and our big concern is we're at the end of our budget year. I'm sure like most of you, July's coming up. We're kind of running on fumes ourselves at this point, and so this is just really bad timing. So luckily the board did approve using our emergency backup money that we can use, in case need be to protect public health. So everything should be okay.
Well, we got DeMartini here. He's got the voice to the dollars. So thanks a lot.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it very much. The mosquitoes are coming. Unfortunately, those little devils, we'll just deal with them when they get here. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8, which is consent calendar.
Anybody else?
How many?
Is there anyone else?
I don't know. Does anyone else want to speak to the council at this time? There being none, we'll move on to 8. Consent calendar. It's kind of long. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the April 25th, 2017 meeting. D, adopt resolution number 2017, next number, accepting the proposal for compensation study and authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement. E, adopt resolution number 2017, next number, authorizing the city manager or fire chief to apply for and execute any further agreements with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection for volunteer fire assistance, VFA, grant fundings. F, adopt resolution number 2017, next number, accepting the skate park project as complete and authorizing Robert Martina as mayor and Mike Myers as the city clerk to record a notice of completion.
Move that we adopt the consent calendar as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Okay, number 9 is a public hearing, and there is none tonight. 10, regular business. A, report on basketball hoops, enforcement of Newman Municipal Code 9.10, storage and/or depositing of non-vehicular objects on city right-of-way. And we have a report from the city.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. At your previous meeting on April 25th, a member of the public asked you to place this item on the agenda, and that's what we've done for you tonight. We've attached a copy of the Newman Municipal Code outlining this particular section. As you know, we have a new community service officer who started about 2 months ago, and they've been charged with neighborhood preservation and enforcing our local laws. Some of them, unfortunately, haven't been enforced for a while, but we're doing that now. With respect to this particular code, if the code enforcement officer is out and sees something being stored in the public right-of-way, which includes the sidewalk and/or street, they're generally given a 72-hour notice to correct the measure. And then sometime after that, the code enforcement officer will go back out and check. The code enforcement officer has actually been working on one, at the beginning it started in one particular area, and then since then we've tried to get her to disperse herself a little bit more evenly throughout the whole community. So this is not a new item. You're not the first council to deal with this. This started back in 1993 when a homeowner who lived on Fig Lane came before the city council and asked for an encroachment permit to place her basketball hoop in the street. It was denied back then, and basically since then the city has adopted this ordinance and adopted other policies that require them to be stored behind the sidewalk. We have not outlawed the use of them in the streets. That's still legal. Kids can still wheel it out, play basketball, and then put it back in. We have not outlawed the playing in the street. It's just the long-term storage of it. Just when you're done, put it back is basically the way the code reads. So with that, I can answer any of your questions tonight, and I would imagine there's people in the public that want to address you tonight.
Any questions at this time?
Not this time.
That was this time.
Okay, then I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone would like to speak to this subject, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and we're going to hold everyone to 3 minutes because there's probably several people that want to speak to this subject.
Good evening. My name is Dion Blythe. I have lived in Newman for 10 years. I'm reading off the script, sorry. I come in front of you today trying to compromise on the city ordinance that pertains to the basketball hoops. We are asking for an addendum to the city ordinance allowing basketball hoops to be allowed directly in front of the owner's home up against the curb at all times. The reason for this is we believe the basketball hoops provide physical activity and keeping kids out of trouble. We understand that now they may be moved from the driveway to the street and back once kids are done. However, myself and many other people and parents in the city of Newman do not have the physical strength to move it back and forth. And the children we talked to said that if the basketball hoop was not readily available, they would not use it. We are asking the city council to consider modification of the current city code. We're not asking for it to be on the sidewalk. We're asking for it to be directly in front of the homeowner's home against the curb. We've obtained some signatures on a petition, and we're just asking for modification, and we'd like to work with the city council if possible to modify it. And okay, I'm done. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Any questions?
No question. Anyone else would like to speak to the council regarding this subject? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Correa. I live at 2140 Denali Park Court in Newman. And I would strongly urge the City Council to enforce the regulation as it stands. Not only is it a public safety issue and the liability that exposes the taxpayers beyond that. I also feel it's a part of the look of our neighborhood. And since there is precedent in the past for not issuing exemptions, I would urge the city council to remain status quo on the regulation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to speak to the council regarding basketball hoops?
Hi, I'm Carol Kinimuka. I wasn't prepared for this, but I would really urge you guys to maybe think about letting the kids be able to play on the streets. My son's out there all the time. There's no non-safety issues. I mean, it's not blocking anything. It's not on the sidewalk. I just think it's good for kids to be able to have that available, and I hope you guys would consider that for the children, doing this for the children. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Veronica Fernandez. I live at 314 Northampton Way. And the basketball courts are a problem for me if they're on the street in front of the house. But my biggest concern is with our Newman winds. I see them laying over in the street. I see them tumbled over. And that's my only concern. Maybe we can adopt something to put into there on excessive windy days, like when you put away your lawn chairs or your what are those jumping things that they jump around in, trampolines. You tie those down too, or bring them in, so they don't follow into the street. People don't hit them. They don't fall over onto somebody's car, and that's my only concern. They don't bother me, as long as they're not on the sidewalk. So people in wheelchairs or disabled can get up and down the sidewalks, kids on their big wheels. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Am I allowed to address one more time?
I'm sorry?
Am I allowed to address one more time?
It's up to the council.
Sure.
Council said fine.
Thank you. Since my daughter's chicken. One of the things that I was saying was that we like to work with the city council. Ours is concreted, and we live on a court with 8 houses, and 3 of us have hoops, and they're all concreted. That's why I can't move mine. Otherwise, I could. I'm pretty strong. But they're concreted, so I can't move it from the driveway to the street and then back again, and my kids can't either. So that's why I said we would like to work with the city council and maybe have that implemented, that it has to have a certain amount of weight in it. Because of the Newman winds, my husband is a fire captain and he's gone all the time, so he put concrete in it so it would never blow over. And as of anything that you own, you're responsible for. So if Veronica, who's my old neighbor, didn't have concrete in hers or didn't have the substantial weight in hers, and hers fell over on a car or something, she would be responsible just like I would be responsible. So that's why we're asking the city council to work with us and help us to understand and come to some sort of compromise. And that's part of the compromise, is if there has to be concrete in it or a certain amount, pounds of sand, water doesn't work. Water evaporates and water does not work. But what I'm seeing now, and I even have friends that have signed the petition and that have said, their basketball hoops now are on the side of their house and they look horrible. And this is supposed to be the quality of life. And the code enforcement gal is great. She's a cute gal. But, it's on the side of the house now laying down and it looks like crap. I mean, really, honestly. And so we're asking that we come to some sort of agreement and you guys work with us and we'll work with you. We just want to have the kids be able to play. They can't play at Barrington. All the adults are there. And how many times has Newman PD been there? Randy. And how many times have they been to Sherman Park because there's the basketball hoop, but there's all adults? I'm not letting my 12-year-old daughter play. Veronica, my old neighbor, wouldn't either. Let our kids play at those parks. So that's what we're asking, is that we have a compromise. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak to the council? If not, then I'm going to bring it back to the council for direction.
Well, I'd like to say, being law enforcement in a larger city, I've handled multiple calls where these have fallen over in the roadways, 3 o'clock in the morning, a car's driving off to work, it's dark, runs over it, damages their car, falls over and hits neighbors having a party, and there's a car parked in, along the curb line, and it falls and lands on their car. And yeah, most people you would hope would be responsible, but a lot of people aren't and won't take responsibility for their stuff when it does fall over. And being out on the street, it's now no longer covered by your homeowner's insurance. It's not covered by your auto insurance. So it's not covered by any insurance. And if it causes major damage to any kind of vehicle, then that person's vehicle that's damaged has to take you to small claims court to actually sue you or try to get your money back if you aren't one of the responsible people that's willing to take care of it. And that does happen often. To me, I think they don't belong in the street unless they're being used actively. And that's just my personal view.
I agree with Case in reference to the hoops being on the street. But I want to be very supportive in terms of what you mentioned in reference to the kids having recreation. We need recreation for the kids here. And I don't see no problem in terms of them having those hoops and on the curbside in the street. But I'm fully agreeing in reference to once those hoops are done with, they need to be moved back into your own property for reasons of safety hazards. I think Veronica had mentioned in reference to people walking on the sidewalks, wheelchair people or elderly people. We need to make sure that they're covered. But I just want to to tell you that I'm agreeing that the kids do need something, and I'm hoping that whatever the agreement we agree with is that they will have the hoops out there, but removed at its time when it's not in use.
An option is my house. I have a basketball hoop in the front yard, and it's actually cemented into my side yard grass, and you play in the driveway into the hoop, and that keeps it out of the street and makes it a permanent option. And it wasn't very hard to put in or very expensive, and it cemented in. It will never blow over. That was the avenue I took.
I do believe that young people do need the opportunity for exercise, and I applaud parents who are willing to find opportunities for their children to get some exercise. But we also have a responsibility as council members to protect our city. And as Casey indicated, there's no insurance if it's in the street. If it's on the sidewalk, you're blocking public access. And so we want the children to be able to play with the basketball hoops. I have two neighbors, one on each side. I've given permission to pull the hoop up into my backyard, or side yard, if you will, when they're not using a hoop in the street. On the other side, they've moved it into the driveway. Whether it looks aesthetically beautiful or not, it's a safety issue. And the concern we have is that we have to protect the safety of our city. Having it in front of your home is well and good, but you don't own the street. And so the ability to park in front of your home is a privilege offered, I believe, by the city. in the right-of-way. And so the same applies with the basketball hoops. We're willing to give you the opportunity to use it when it's appropriate, when the kids are using it. But when you're done, we simply ask that you remove it from the street and from the sidewalk and put it back on your own property.
Well, court enforcement is there for a reason. We all have to live by, I mean, I've gotten a knock on my door about my garbage can being on the wrong side of the fence, so we have to live by it. It's there for a reason. It's there to protect the citizens of the community. I applaud you for what you've done to be able to make sure it doesn't fall over. But unfortunately, we're thinking about the entire city, not just one neighborhood or one enclave. So unfortunately, I agree that we should use it when you want, but it needs to be put away when it's done.
I would concur with everyone that we have a code on the book right now that really tries to satisfy everyone. And I think sometimes it's impossible to satisfy everyone, but I think right now the way the code stands, it does that. And there is no reason, as far as I'm concerned, to change the code. And so it's up to the council if they want to go further with this, or just keep the code as it is and unchanged, and we can proceed. Do we need a motion? We need a motion?
You don't officially need a motion unless there's direction to staff to make any changes to the code or bring back any additional information.
So there is no direction. So I'm sorry, and I understand that there's a need for this for young people to get exercise and to be able to shoot hoops. But the council as a whole feels that what we have as a code enforcement of the hoops is fair and equitable to everyone. So,
May I add something? This gives us a good opportunity to look in terms of different type of recreation for the city of Newman for our youth. We need to have participation like yourself. I'm pretty sure your kids and yourself, in terms of bright minds, can come together in terms of some of the things that we need to do in the city of Newman for our youth. So in saying that, I really appreciate you all coming out and expressing these your concerns, but at the same time, come up with the ideas that we need to implement for the city of Newman. And sometimes it takes money, but those are the fights that we have to try to find those dollars to satisfy our youth and the residents of the city of Newman. And I just want to applaud you, for taking your time to come out and address this issue.
with that, I thank everyone for coming out. I know sometimes it's hard to come before the council and to talk to us and try to tell us what you want, but we appreciate it very much. Thank you for coming out. And with that, I'm going to move on to 10, regular business, B. This is first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2017, next number. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman amending Section 8.07.020 and Chapter 8.08 of and adding Chapter 8.09 to the Newman Municipal Code relating to marijuana.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Before you tonight, we have a proposed ordinance that really stems from the presentation and discussion that we had with the Council several weeks ago. As the Council might recall, following the passing of Prop 64, California voters have approved ALMA, which allows for the regulation of recreational marijuana use. And as part of that, there's been a move by many city councils to determine whether they want to regulate personal cultivation, because under ALMA, that is the extent of what the local jurisdictions can regulate, and in the personal context. So under ALMA, there is an allowance for up to 6 plants per individual, and the city can put reasonable regulations in place because of that. So based on the direction that we received from the council, we've worked with the city manager and several department heads to craft an ordinance that reaches a balance between allowing, obviously allowing the use under Alma and trying to meet the safety, welfare concerns raised by individuals on the council, staff, and members of the public. So before you tonight, we have an ordinance that we believe does address all of those issues and puts certain rules in place, procedures related to an application review and appeal, and the application process for allowing the city really to monitor who is growing, where it's being grown, and really to reach a level of working with our first responders, so with fire and police, because they're the ones that will really be at the forefront of making sure that if there's any calls about, if it's odor, if it's potential crime issues within the community, that this allows enough flexibility for our staff to go in and handle those issues. So it's a comprehensive ordinance that we won't necessarily go into detail, but I am more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does this ordinance focuses primarily on medical marijuana, correct?
In this context is under Alma, which is for the recreational use, so it's not the medical component again. One other thing I failed to mention is this ordinance doesn't impact the city's ban right now on every other marijuana use, because unfortunately that's what Prop 64 does, is it preempts regulating or disallowing for personal cultivation. So it's allowed under state law now, so the most the city can do is regulate how it's done, and if it's done under essentially the supervision of the city.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. I read through it. It hit on all the key points that I was concerned about.
Yeah.
No, I think
Very well written.
it's an excellent job. I think that it's exactly what I was looking for. And
I agree.
I agree.
So with that, anyone would like to,
Mayor, because it's a first reading of the ordinance, open up for public comment.
okay, at this time, we're going to open it for public comment. Anyone would like to go up to the podium, state their name and address, and talk to cannabis, marijuana, please do it this time.
Don't be shy.
Anyway, being no one, I'm going to bring it back to the council.
Is there some place we can read this ordinance? I haven't.
And the agenda's online, correct?
Yeah, all the agendas are always online. They're posted the Friday before a meeting.
Which includes the documents that we
Correct.
have.
There's also, if you don't have access to online, they're at our counter at City Hall, available to the public 8 to 5, Monday through Friday as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
It should be in there.
No, it's in there.
It's in there.
It's in there.
It's the big one.
It's the big, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the big thing.
Get one tree there.
I dropped it on my foot, it broke my toe.
I move for the first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2017 next in number, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman amending section 8.07.020 and chapter 8.08 of and adding chapter 8.09 to the Newman Municipal Code relating to marijuana.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. I'll get back with that. Okay, we're still on 10 regular business. C, so adopt resolution number 2017, next number, a resolution adopting a master fee/fine schedule.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you is the proposed master fee and fine schedule. The master schedule is being proposed as permitted under Municipal Code Section 8.05040. The first administrative citation fee schedule was adopted in 2006 as a result of Ordinance 2006-3. In preparation for the city's new CSO position and improved code enforcement program, it was found that the current fee schedule was in need of a comprehensive update due to additions and revisions of the code. It was decided that a comprehensive list of all fees and fines was the most effective means of an update. The proposed master schedule encompasses all codes and departmental fees and fines and violations, in addition to state codes such as the fire code. The adoption of the master fee fine schedule will assist with the city's code enforcement program by clearly identifying each code section, violation, or applicable fee or fine. It will also allow for a more efficient update of said fees or fines in the future. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution 2017, next in number. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Stephanie?
It's really comprehensive.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of hours.
Thick. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stephanie.
yeah, thank you.
I'll need a motion.
I know.
Okay.
I'll bring it back to the council for direction, please.
I move that we adopt resolution, next number, 2017, a resolution adopting the master fee fine schedule.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Okay, moving on. Item 11. Item from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim D. Martini. Supervisor, welcome to Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always a pleasure being here. In fact, we just updated some of our fees today, too. Some of the ones from the planning department hadn't been updated in 7 years, so we just did that, too. If you don't watch that, they really kind of get away from you. So anyway, don't have a real lot tonight. Down at Crow's Landing Air Base, we did appropriate some money to drill a new well. The one that we drilled had such poor water quality we couldn't use it, so we drilled another one. I don't know if that's been done yet, but I know we appropriated the money for it. The environmental impact report I know is done, but I don't believe it's been circulated yet. It's only 8 months behind now, so I don't have any explanation why it's just taken this long. It was done, I don't know, a month ago, and I went to some more attorneys to look over, and fence the newbie there, but they have just stopped everything. They just, I guess they got to go over every line before it's going to be released to the public. But it is done. It should be out soon. As far as the healthcare task force, the health summit, is set for June 29th. We are all set. We have 8 vendors right now. We have approved the lunch vendor, which is Blues Cafe in Patterson. I've confirmed the speaker, which is our health officer, Dr. John Walker. He's a very good speaker. Should be really good. He does have a PowerPoint, but he's using something called a thumb drive. For somebody like me, that doesn't read very much. But all my stuff still uses tubes. But we're trying to avoid having the problems we've had in the past. So he said, if you have any kind of device that uses his thumb drive, it will work on what he's bringing. And we were all set. We had a very productive meeting a couple of weeks ago here in Newman, and we got a lot of our issues worked out. So we have one more meeting on the in Patterson on the 15th of June. That's just before the summit, to just go over the little details. The West Side Walks will begin in all 3 cities on June 7th. We'll be walking for exercise around the high school tracks in Patterson, Newman, and Gustine. All 3 school districts have approved the activity. So if you want to go out and get some exercise, either by yourself or with some friends and family, and just walk around the track, walk at your own pace. And we have a little walk wheel where you can keep track of what your laps are. And at the end of the season, you turn those into City Hall, and we have a drawing for some prizes from Stuart and Jasper. Like I say, next meeting's in Patterson, June 15th, so that's about all I have tonight. I did come last week to the opening of your dog park. I mentioned that. I thought it was a park that was very well done. I know it took a little while to get it built, but, you know, I know how government works. It's slow, but it's steady. The park is really something that Stanislaus County would like to do with Laird Park, too, is why I'm so interested in it. But for your community, you really have something nice for the residents. I was very impressed with it. I was unable to get any of the park directors here for that. I notified them, but noticed none of them were able to make it. But I came, and I thought it was a really nice asset to your parks department.
Jim, one quick question. Crow's Landing, did you say 8 months behind?
Yeah, it was supposed to be done in September. Yeah, so it's just moving along at what I call government speed. So I have no explanation why it's this far behind, especially since I've been told it's been done. It's done.
So phase 1 is, what, 2019 now? Or?
No, it's once we get this thing done in public comment, which is 45 days, I think the board is ready to appropriate some money and start putting in the infrastructure. We expect, unless something changes, to put in about $32 million into this project. And we have to build a road there. We have to bring in electricity. We have to put in the sewer system, which is basically hooks into Diablo Grande's system. We have to get the water there. You know, we're drilling wells now. So you have to have a park for people to move in. I mean, they expect, and they would require, you know, water, power, roads, sewer, and that's like $32 million to do that. So that would probably take at least a year just to do that, and then we would have something saleable for somebody to move in. It's a phased-in approach. I mean, to get this is not going to be
move slow.
Done right away. I mean, it's going to take years to do this because it's 1,500 acres. We intend to retain the airport and keep it active and land planes there. It was also the requirement of the federal government that had to remain at least one of the runways, and in case of a national emergency, the federal government could use it. I don't think that'll ever happen, but it is required that we keep it in. And we think that that would be an asset for certain businesses who might require something like that. Anyway, we're moving along. It's depending on what the public comments are. That the project should start going forward next year, at least with the infrastructure part.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. We always appreciate you coming to our events in town, too, showing your support. Thank you.
Yeah, you move faster than the Army Corps of Engineers, anyway. Anyway, with that, we'll move on to the next item, which would be item 12, item from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. For Councilmember McDonald and Councilmember McGram, 2+2 next Tuesday, 4 p.m. I know Councilmember Graham, you're going to let me know if you can't make it. Councilmember Kendia, you are the alternate on that in case you're available. Would be next Tuesday at 4 p.m. would be a 2+2 with the school district again.
And that's held here?
That's here. We hold that in one of our conference rooms, yes. And we are expecting that our wetlands delineation specialist will be coming out this week to look at our property to help us finally map that entire project site. That's the first step in going to meet with Army Corps of Engineers and getting to seeing if we need a 404, which is a wetlands permit. We're hoping that we don't for the first phase, which would be a solar project. We're looking at about 3 acres of solar out there that would power the city, all the city buildings, the water wells, and some of the other things out there. That would go along with the solar project at the wastewater treatment plant. That has not quite been in a year yet, but once we hit the 1 year mark on that, we'll come back with a little informal report for how that's working out for you as well. We have openings, and we're going to start a recruitment in our Public Works Department. We'll have 2 openings. One of the gentlemen is not leaving until mid-July, but we're already doing a recruitment for one that's planning on leaving this week due to just some personal issues. So we'll see that recruitment coming out starting next week, and it'll probably run through the end of the month. Of course, we're always looking for good police officers, which tells me I want to just welcome Officer Freeman. You know, it's good to find quality young men like him. It's not as easy as it used to be. I mean, unfortunately, I know police departments all over the state are cycling through hundreds of applicants just to get 1 or 2 quality applicants. So we're very fortunate to land Officer Freeman. In addition, he's engaged to a local gal, so he's already aware of our home loan program. So, if we can get him in on that after he completes his probationary period, hopefully we'll get him locked in for a long time. That's always our goal when we have the home loan program, right, is to get someone to get vested into our community. So hopefully that'll work out for him. May 17th is Bike to Work Day in the city of Newman. So get out your bicycles. At our last meeting, I know there were some, we talked a little bit about basketball hoops. So our public works staff has actually gone out and reviewed all of our existing courts. So we've done an analysis on that. We'll be getting quotes here probably in the next week or 2. So, and then we'll see about resurfacing and repainting those to make those refreshed. And that's all that I had for you. But I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
No. Thank you for looking at those courts and getting that taken care of, addressing that. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael. Chief Richardson?
I've used most of my allotted time earlier, my 3 minutes, but I'd just like to thank you guys for your continued support of our department and the city manager's continued support of our department to hire these young men and women that are going to be the future of this department is what we're hoping. So we would see them for a long, long time is our goal. And thank you again.
Well, thank you for getting such fine officers. They're certainly a reflection of the community.
We try.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to mention that as a new person, 10 years now, in terms of this city, I think the city has really got a good chief in Randy, and I just want to, to give you applaud on that, and even the officers that are being hired, I see the reflection of you in those officers, and I just want to applaud you for that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Stephanie?
No comments tonight.
Stephanie, wait a second.
You got 2 biggies.
Yeah, she has, Stephanie has gone way beyond Call of Duty,
We had a
The
busy week
skate
last
park,
week.
I missed the dog park opening, and I apologize, but the skate park was unbelievable. I think that it adds something to the city, a lot of people, there's pros and cons as far as skate parks. But what we're always trying to do is improve the quality for young people in this city. And I think that does. I think the kids were out there and they were using the skate park, and I'm sure that it's going to be something that they'll really truly enjoy. So thank you for everything you've done as far as bringing that together.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad that it's there for the community, and it'll be there for forever and ever.
Yeah.
So it'll be
We'll
good.
have to put your name on it someplace.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't need my name on it. But I'm really happy to have those 2 projects open to the public. It's been a long time coming, lots of work and time, but it was well worth it.
It's obvious that dog park was a labor of love by the 2 people that were primarily involved.
Yes, Claire and Keith, they were the heart and soul of that. They made it happen, so we are in debt to them.
And that's truly a beautiful park. If you haven't been by, go by Maripol and take a look right at the end of Sherman Park. It's a beautiful facility.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No, I'd just like to say thank you. You put a lot of effort in the grand opening of both of those, out there serving hot dogs and popcorn and entertaining people and getting everything arranged. So thank you very much for the efforts for that.
I enjoy it.
And I just want to piggyback on what Case is just saying. I want to congratulate you on those projects. And just mentioned, I know that there were some issues in reference to the skate park that was brought up. Hopefully, without saying anything, that we face these issues and take care of them.
Yes, they've been taken into account, and proper research has been done, and we feel confident that things are taken care of and will be addressed if anything comes up.
Great. That's all I have.
Well done. The hot dogs and popcorn were excellent.
Popcorn. I should say thank you to Yancey Lumber for letting us use their popcorn machine. Little thank you there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lou, anything tonight?
No, I didn't have anything tonight.
Lou never has anything, but the reason we're so
Okay.
financially sound in this city.
All right, I got one for you. It's a heads up. Next
Uh-oh.
month, first council meeting, we got our budget workshop.
Okay.
So prepare yourselves an hour before the council meeting.
Very good. Very good. Anyway, thank you for all you do. Thank you. Kazun?
Yeah, good evening. I have two items. Just a reminder, Wednesday, May 17th, the city is going to host Bike to Work at the plaza from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Normally, we contact the local business owners, so we got really good support from them. So they're providing some T-shirt, pen, goodies, snacks for all the attendees. And also, we are utilizing that one as a good opportunity for public outreach for storm, flood, solid waste, wastewater, water quality, etc. So this is a good community activities. Please join the Bike to Work event on May 17th. Public Works Department is going to host the Public Works Directors Luncheon this Thursday. One of the main reasons to host the meeting is to share all kind of resources associated with Measure L, the payment improvement project, because every single city has a good information. We want to share the resources so that we can maximize the benefit to the community, especially overlay projects, slurry seal. We are going to have a really good meeting this Thursday so that we can, optimize our project in the future. So maybe in June, the staff is going to provide some presentation or the memorandum for update on the Measure L project. I can answer to any question you may have.
Any questions for council?
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Fire Chief?
Good evening. We did. I just want to remind everyone too. We did have a structure fire over the week. It's actually been a really busy week for the fire department, but we had a structure fire, and I just want to say that everyone should have a smoke detector in their home. We just had a life saved from a smoke detector, so I encourage everyone, if you don't have a smoke detector in your home, get a hold of me or someone at the fire department. We'll work with Red Cross and we'll get you a smoke detector in your home. Save the life of an infant over off of Oristimba this Sunday. So I encourage everyone to check your smoke detectors. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Thank you for all your special reports that you provide to the council.
Yeah.
Keep us updated. We appreciate that very much. Casey?
I'd like to jump back to the grand openings of the skate park and the dog park. They were really nice. And again, thank you, Stephanie. And I think they're good additions to the community, and people like them. The skate park's been busy. Every time I go by, there's a lot of people out there. I'd like to welcome Officer Freeman. Obviously, he's gone right now, and thank him for willing to put the badge on and come work for our community and serve our community. It's an important step. The people that spoke on the basketball hoop, I appreciate everybody that came out and spoke on that. It takes a lot to show up at our meetings and talk and give their opinion on it and that. But I feel we made the right decision on that going forward. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I stand right alongside Case in reference to the basketball and the parks, and it seems to me that since I've been on the council, the city of Newman is on the move. We're doing some great things, and we have coming down the pipe some wonderful things that's going to be taking place in the city of Newman. And I'll say it again, and hopefully the message will get across that we need more participation from our residents, that we can fill up this room in terms of our residents coming out and voicing their opinions. And I'll say it again, we're on the move here in Newman. We're going to do some great things. Look forward to them.
Thank you.
Just, again, beautiful dog park, great-looking skate park, and appreciate all the hard work that everyone's put into it, particularly Stephanie, but everyone. May the 18th is our Disaster Planning Council meeting, so we'll be attending that at 3 o'clock in Modesto. Other than that, that's all.
Thank you to everybody for being out tonight. Sorry they couldn't make it, but work call, or duty call, I should say. But great job. I went by it the other day and I looked at it, so, after the fact. Sorry.
There's a lot of thank yous. Thank you, Stephanie. Chief Richardson, thank you for the new officer,
Yes.
Freeman. I just think we get quality officers like that, and so important. You know, it just makes our town a little bit better.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, they're frontline people, you know, they're dealing with the public, you know, and they get an opportunity to be out there and represent the city. So we thank you for getting good officers, anyway. And I'd like to say something about the people that came forward tonight to speak about the basketball hoops, you know. Sometimes you can't always make everyone happy. But I think the ordinance as it stands right now truly is fair for everyone. And I think it's, it gives everyone an opportunity to, they can use their basketball hoop, but when they put them out, they put them back. And anyway, it's a compromise, and that's the code, and so be it. But anyway, thank you so much for coming out tonight. And I'd like to ask for adjournment.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. And thank